So we have Dan Rundhaug with IPEX, which is the Institute for Professional Excellence. Welcome to the podcast today, and thanks for coming in.
Mike, thank you. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate that, and excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about IPEX and how it helps students, or is it just for Davenport University students, or is it for a community?
Yeah, it's definitely for the community and even beyond the community, really. IPEX is the corporate training, consulting, and coaching arm of the university. We've been around for about 35 years.
Okay.
And we really work with businesses that are interested in improving their people or improving their processes. And so we're not even geared really to the traditional Davenport University student. We're geared toward the businesses in the community that are interested in upskill or reskill of their people, leadership development programs, management training, project management. So it really runs the gamut of our types of topics that we're able to do. But we're definitely an outward-facing part of the university, not necessarily for the degree-seeking students in the academic side.
Okay, how does how do you affiliate with Davenport?
Well, we're part of the university.
Okay.
So we are we sit alongside all of the colleges. So we're not within a particular college at the university, but we sit alongside the colleges, and so we're able to leverage all of the leading academic thought that happens in the College of Business or Technology, Health Professions, Arts and Sciences, or Urban Education for ways to benefit businesses and organizations, associations that we might partner with or that we might serve. So we're there really leveraging that leading academic thought. Another key way that we connect in with the university as a whole is IPEX leads the effort in creating education partnerships with businesses and organizations, really just trying to break down the barriers of how working adults can go back to school and either complete their degree or get an advanced degree at Davenport. And so that's a key benefit that the university has with the work that my team plays at IPEX.
I think that's super important. So people going back to school typically have already figured out what career they want to do, and to get that next level of education without giving up that first career, I think it's challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah, because you get into a groove, you're set into a little bit about what your life is like. The complexities of life also start to weigh in with your job responsibilities, kids, family responsibilities, kids for sure. And you can start to feel like, not that you're stuck, but that the opportunity to go back is past.
Yeah.
And at Davenport, we have about 50% of our population is from working adults.
Okay.
And so we have a high emphasis of what the adult learner needs in the degree side of pursuing their education and coming back to school for that. So we're pretty in tune to that. And that really is how Davenport was founded. Back in 1866, it was founded for Union soldiers that were returning from the Civil War.
Interesting.
To
I didn't know
back
that.
into a career field. And that's why we were established in the first place. So we've stayed true to that cause our entire existence.
That's awesome. So do you work with schedules, or do you have second shift or third shift, or how does somebody that already has a career that they're into find time to go back to school?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's really all over the board. So we really do training in two different types of camps. One is open enrollment, or what's offered publicly to just anybody that can come in and sign up for any of our programs through IPEX. And a lot of those happen in the evening for certification programs. Several of them happen virtually or online on a self-paced component, so they're able to take it, when they want. And then we have several programs that are available during the day, where an individual will get release time from his or her employer to come in and take our certificate of management, for example, over 6 courses. And what that does, 6 sessions, what that does is that creates increased knowledge, skill, and ability for that manager to go back and then implement in their work environment. So there's a value that the employer sees in giving some release time for that to happen.
Now, are a lot of the connections made through employers? Do employers reach out to you on behalf of their employees to get them that degree or that next level of education?
Yeah, we have a lot of situations where managers or HR leaders are looking at growth opportunities and learning and development programs for groups of individuals within a business or organization, or a particular individual for a particular, growth opportunity. So we have a lot of that happens from the business. And then we have occasions where individuals themselves kind of raise their hand, self-select, and say, I'm reaching out to you on my own accord because I want to really grow, develop, and pursue something new or unique for my own career path that's not necessarily paid for or not necessarily even endorsed by my employer, but I want to grow personally. So it really comes from both of those avenues.
Okay. So how long have you been involved with IPEX?
I've been there about 12 years. I started as the director of facilitation and corporate learning. So I built a lot of the content, built a lot of the initial programs that we were using for management and leadership development, and facilitated on those. And then in 2015, I transitioned to executive director of the team. So really leading the team, leading some of the sales efforts, stepping away from some of the deliverables for individual clients and programs, and really aligning with some of the needs that the university has, and then driving the sales effort for the department.
Man, you're all involved. Being with IPEX for over 12 years, right? You've definitely seen a lot of changes. And prior to COVID, I'm sure things were pretty simple as far as your schedule and the type of people. How did it change after COVID? Did you get a different type of candidate or prospect or student?
Really what happened in the midst of COVID and after COVID was the need to enhance the flexibility and the types of delivery options that we offer for corporate clients and even for our open enrollment programs.
That include like online classes or?
Yeah. So a lot of what we did before that was in-person, live, facilitator-led in-person sessions. And certainly COVID shut all of that down.
Yeah.
And we had to turn on a day. So we had live in-person sessions scheduled the evening that Davenport University decided that we were going to shut down and move remote. And that day, we ran 100% of our programs in a live virtual format that were scheduled to be live in person. So it is impressive because there's a lot of places that would not be able to do that. And I would just say Davenport gave us a leg up to be able to do that. Davenport University was, I think, the first university in the state of Michigan, and certainly one of the first nationally, to offer online degrees back in the 1990s.
Okay.
So we were pretty
forward thinking,
in our ability and use of technology, and being able to utilize, distance learning as a philosophical approach to that. So we were well equipped to be able to make that change, but being able to step up and do that, equip our facilitators with changing their approach from the live in person to being able to do things from a screen and distance, that was significant.
So with COVID and with the change, did you see growth from that? Did your enrollment increase, or how do you measure success?
Yeah. We measure success from a variety of ways. One is just the numeric growth. So from the university side, that's enrollment, that's students, that's credit hours. COVID was not helpful to most of higher education. And so, the complexities that were created through COVID actually hurt most higher education institutions. So enrollment was not a key way for us to measure growth through that, because growth suffered, frankly, through COVID. So your numeric growth is one way to measure, your existence, your quality, those types of things. Another way to measure that is just the quality of that experience and the engagement. So even as we were working through some enrollment challenges, our quality metrics and all of our quality contributions at Davenport, dramatically increased. So much so that Davenport was the first university to win the Michigan Excellence Award in the Malcolm Baldrige system. And then we're national finalists. So our quality scores and everything we do from a quality metric, that's a key element for us. And those things are going really well. On the IPEX side, so not the degree-seeking academic side, we've had a lot of growth with new opportunities and clients that are looking to do things new and different than they have before. Switching from just doing things in person and flying either facilitators to a spot or flying participants into a centralized location has really changed to open the door where we can do things live and simulcasted with a local group, but then simulcasted out to those participants that can't be there or that are now working off-site or remote.
So the same course, people online and people in person are kind of experiencing a similar type of education.
Right. Okay. And then the facilitator's job is to make sure that those engagements, they feel like they're seamless and that there's interaction and camaraderie and that there's no difference in that type of experience.
So the facilitator, do they have assistants, or how do you manage to do all of that? And make it seamless? Do they have a whole camera crew behind the scenes? Or?
A lot of times it's just the simple technology. We try to have easy, user-friendly technology. Sometimes we have some program managers that are involved behind the scenes, but that's not always the case.
Okay.
So it just depends. I would say our facilitators are rock stars. And so they
have to be that.
They do.
I try to run meetings for my agents here in the office and agents out in the field, and to make it feel the same for everyone is tough to do.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's hard, but they've really done a phenomenal job with that. One of the cool stories that I usually share in the midst of COVID, and when we made this dramatic shift from in-person to having that flexibility of virtual, we had some clients that were live in person and they had to switch to virtual because of COVID. And we track the quality scores on everything that's done with our clients. And my main concern was, what's the quality going to look like from our quality scores from moving from in-person to the live virtual deliveries?
Yeah.
And we were really careful about tracking those to see, is our quality suffering? And our quality scores came in at matched level for what we were doing in person. So when I say our facilitators are rock stars, they really are, because they were able to create the same type of feel in a virtual engagement that those participants were used to having in a live face-to-face engagement.
I think a lot of people sign up for something expecting one thing, and then if they're change kind of midway through, they're going to be extra critical of the process, and to have those scores kind of match. That's awesome and impressive. Congrats.
Yeah. So we started to use that in the midst of COVID as a rationale to not hold off on training because you can't do it in person.
Yeah.
We started to use that as kind of an evidence that there's an ability for you to continue the learning development plan that you need for your team in the midst of COVID virtually, and we have evidence to show that it will be a high quality engagement for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are some examples of the courses that you have?
Yeah, so in our publicly offered programs, we really do a variety of things in management leadership. We have a certificate of management program, which is a 6-module course that really is designed for individuals that are either high potential individual contributors that want to move into some type of management role, or for managers that are relatively new to management, but have never really been trained in what it means to manage or lead someone.
Sure.
We find across the industries that individuals that are good at doing their job get promoted to lead other people that are supposed to be good at doing their job.
Yeah.
And those are two totally separate skill sets.
Yep.
And so our certificate of management is really designed for that human to human interaction of what it means to be a manager. So you're helping to think through, what does it mean for me to be a leader, and how does that impact the people around me? How do I motivate my team away from just the carrot or the stick approach, but how do I create a motivating environment as a leader?
Retention,
that drives retention, the attraction, retention issues that so many employers are facing. Developing high impact teams. How do we help teams to really drive to that high performance? And there are things that managers get to do that are unique, especially frontline managers, and driving that team engagement, dealing with conflict, working through conflict mitigation, but then also fostering an environment where healthy conflict can happen, where we can push back on each other because we know that we both have the best interest of the business or the organization in mind. Communicating without conflict. So how do we drive to assertive communication with each other as opposed to passive aggressive or overly aggressive?
Yeah, it's fine lines.
Right. Yeah. But it's all about that human interaction of what it means to be, a good manager and really develop the right type of relationships you want with those that you're managing, your peers that you're working alongside, and then your upline that you're reporting to. So that's a key program for us, our certificate of management. We do a step up from that, a leader of leaders program. So this is designed for people that are leading people who are tasked with leading people. And so it's a little bit more strategic. Yeah, that next level, a little bit more strategic. It's less programmatic. There are some sessions that we work through, but in that program, we also embed a coaching engagement with our facilitator. It's project-based, so the leader is asked to come and work through an actual job-specific project that is important to him or her or to the organization. And then we help facilitate some coaching around that.
How many weeks is that course?
That's 5 weeks total.
And how many times a year is it offered?
We offer all of our programs probably 4 or 5 times a year on an open enrollment basis.
Okay.
But we can take everything we do on an open enrollment or publicly offered basis, and we can deliver it in a custom or closed cohort experience for particular companies. And we've had a number of organizations that have said to us, hey, I need my frontline supervisors really to go through certificate of management.
Sure.
And in so doing, sometimes they ask us to tweak something or customize something, specific to them as well. And we're definitely happy to do that.
Well, I'm sure you have some success stories from the 12 years you've been doing this. Is there any you could share?
I can share in kind of broad strokes.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have some really amazing stories. Some of my favorite stories are examples of individuals that, as I said, have raised their hand and said, hey, I need to pursue this because I want to better myself.
Yeah.
One of our key programs that we do in the healthcare field is a certified professional coder, CPC for short. And this is for anyone that's going into medical coding or billing. Insurance offices and hospitals need certified professional coders because that's how they get reimbursed from insurance companies. Okay. And so it's a really critical role, but it's high tech from the standpoint of needing to make sure that you're doing it right. The code that you put in for an insurance, if it's off by one number, you could be talking about surgery versus diagnosing aspirin.
Where they put the decimal point.
Exactly. So certified professional coder is a program that I usually talk about as an entry point for someone who's in a job but not a career. Certified professional coder is an entry point for someone who wants to move into an actual health career field. And we have countless individuals that have come back to us and said, it's because of the program that we took at IPEX, completing my CPC, actually sitting and passing that credential that got me into the healthcare field, where it really changed the trajectory of what I'm able to do and how I'm able to provide for my family. So that's a really awesome program for that. We've developed something in the past with the Michigan Works. We've done a career readiness academy, where we've taken prison ex-convicts that are looking to re-enter the workforce, along with individuals that have been chronically underemployed or chronically unemployed. And we've developed about an 8-week career readiness academy for them. And we've developed something that really gets them back into what it would be like to be working. And so it's an 8-hour experience of learning some of the critical soft skills and then mathematics and different types of things that they need to be effective. Yeah. And as we graduated individuals from that, it was amazing to see some of the cards that they brought into that experience to the facilitator.
Business cards or?
Handwritten thank you notes.
Thank you notes. Okay.
From the participants that just communicated the immense gratitude
the impact,
for the investment that the facilitator made in their lives. In a broader scope, we see work that we do with some of our corporate clients and executives We recently had a leader that graduated from a multi-month leadership program that we've designed for one of our large global clients. Just to celebrate the fact that she was able to move from one position to a larger leadership role as a finance director for an entire global market.
Wow.
So those are some cool stories that we're able to say we had a role in the learning development path of these leaders that were here, learned some things that were immensely critical that complemented their skill set, and now they're here.
Moving the level up.
Right.
So how many people a year on average go through your programs?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. And I'm sure that we have exact numbers somewhere from participant counts, but it would definitely be in the thousands as you look at our open enrollment professional development programs blended with what we do with our corporate custom clients. And what's cool, I know this is focused on Grand Rapids and what's happening in Grand Rapids, but we're in 17 different states besides Michigan doing leadership development programs in about 25 different countries. So, we have a pretty far reach with what we do and how we're able to bring really the Davenport brand into a number of different areas, locations, and in businesses and organizations.
So Davenport started in Michigan?
It's in Michigan, and our university is Michigan-based for sure. But the work that we do at IPEX really is branched out into multiple states and multiple countries.
So do you offer financing, or how does somebody pay for the courses? Is it usually out of pocket?
Yeah, often it's out of pocket, and we have a variety of finance options that are available, whether it's payment plans that are available through the university or through third-party sources that are set up in loan payment options. And then often we have individuals that are funded through their employer.
So that's awesome that there's flexibility in ways that people can get involved with your programs. Grand Rapids has grown into something of a educational hub. There's so many colleges here in the Grand Rapids area, Davenport being one of them. How do you see Davenport's impact on Grand Rapids?
Yeah, Grand Rapids has definitely grown, and we continue to be in the news for great places to live, great places to work, great places to start a business. So I think by default we have to grow into that place of being an educational hub and expand in that. So I think by default we just have to do that. In addition, I think we're living out part of even what some of the governor's vision is of 60% of our population with some sort of degree or certification by 2030. And even the former governor administration had, education initiatives that were along those same lines. So I think we have to grow into, what it means to be an educational hub. I think the big question is, what does education mean today?
Okay.
And it's not always just a 4-year degree or a master's degree. And that's something that Davenport, has recognized. That's why my whole department exists. We're all about, the non-degree seeking student, the non-degree seeking learning and development opportunity. That's who IPEX is and what we're here for. But in addition to that, it's also the type of education that's available within the colleges and universities. So Davenport has launched recently stackable certs for individuals that are purposely not looking at this particular point in time for a degree, but wanting to get upskill and reskill, again, to use those phrases, in business acumen or business or technology or health areas. So we've created stackable certs that allow individuals to pursue education at their time, but not on a degree track. But it gives them credit, an opportunity that if they ever wanted to come back, that credit is there for them, and it rolls right into a degree. So it's really about the type of education that I think universities and colleges are required to evaluate. It's got to be more than just what we have traditionally always thought about higher ed. It's really meeting individuals where they're at with the type of education that they need, with the constraints that are on them from a financial or time commitment capacity, and then adapting to that so that we can equip individuals to help them reach the dream that they have for themselves.
There's no doubt you've had Davenport itself has had a huge impact on the Grand Rapids area and the workforce. Where do you see the future of Davenport and how you continue to impact the community?
Yeah. I've given a number of talks across the state for some different associations and local chambers on the topic of the future of work, especially as we look to like 2030. And one of the things that I've said is the technology will be the engine for massive change that happens, but humans will be in the driver's seat. So as you think about what has to happen in the future, the impact of the critical skills that humans still need to grow and understand, learn and develop as it relates to dealing with individuals, emotional intelligence, design thinking, conflict management, healthy communication styles, all of those things are critically important. And they're not going away, even as technology continues to advance. And so I think Davenport, and then specifically our role at IPEX, is to continue to invest in our community, but even broader than that through some of the clients and work that we do on a national or global scale, really investing in that ability for individuals to succeed in the development of their personal skill set. And I would also say, Mike, that's not anything new. I was just looking at Peter Drucker. He wrote a great book in 1993 when he was in his mid-80s called The Post-Capitalist Society. And it's interesting because in that book, he talked about the knowledge worker is going to need to continue or relearn new things every 4 or 5 years or they'll be obsolete. That was in 1993.
Training's key. Yeah.
Training's key. And I think it's only accelerated since then and only will accelerate as we move to the future. So learning, development, training, growth, I think you have to grow or there will be problems for you.
I was reading that Davenport actually has speaking of technology, right? Davenport actually has a online sports team. Are you familiar with that?
So I'm not super familiar with that. We continue to grow and expand what we do.
I thought that was
in our
pretty
sports
cool.
area.
Yeah.
We were the esports.
I think that's what I'm talking about.
Esports.
Yeah.
So we were one of the first universities to come out with an esports program, and it was visionary from the perspective of is that legit, and how does that actually feed into the future of what people can do. And now we know that individuals that were playing their video games are now flying drones.
Yeah.
And it's a skill set that you utilize to master.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's evident that Davenport is forward thinking and is community focused, and having that vision for what are we going to do in the future is super clear.
Yeah.
So, how can somebody get in touch with you to find out more about the program, or just in touch with IPEX in general?
Yeah, great. Our website is davenport.edu/IPEX. That has all of our publicly offered programs that are regularly updated schedule-wise as far as when things are offered and what they can do. If you want to reach out to me directly, my email is drundhaug, DRUND @HAUG @davenport.edu, or my office number 616-233-2582. I'd love to connect with anyone that's looking to better themselves, better their people that they work that work for them, or better the process that they have at their organization.
Well, Daniel, thank you for shedding some light on IPEX and its role serving the Grand Rapids community. It was really great hearing about the stories and how you and IPEX have impacted the greater Grand Rapids area.
Awesome. Mike, thanks a lot. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate what you do to invest in the community with this podcast.
Well, thank you.